terrorism. And terrorism usually entails violence. And terrorism should only entail violence. So obviously the individuals in society who are meant to terrorize the population with violence, with bombs or whatnot, they need to be engaged. And now, on that angle, I think we have laws in place everywhere, how to deal with members of our society who are trying to kill people, who are trying to do horrible things. We don't need special laws. We have the laws that we already have. With respect to, obviously, this indefinite detention provisions, based on whatever subjective criteria and so on, they're hugely problematic. In New York, the General Assembly has also spoken very strongly against NDAA. The day we were arrested, actually, the day we were targeted, there was a huge NDAA protest in Grand Central Station, New York City, main train station, New York City, where people tried to do a mic check. There's video online, which we will publish, it's been published, it's been very widely seen, of a woman doing a mic check and immediately being tackled by 10 police officers, which reminded me a little bit of the scene in the very beginning of the occupation when Justin, one of the main tweeters, tried to use a microphone to call the General Assembly in the park as we were about to be raided and being tackled by the police to use microphone, which is how the mic check came into existence in the first place. And now they're targeting the people who are doing mic check in a blatantly illegal and immoral manner.
Vlad, maybe you can just explain to the viewers who might not know what the situation is with the sound permits and what the human microphone is.
Yeah. The brief background on the brief background on the sound permits is that in order to have amplified sound in New York, you need to have a permit. And if you don't have when they basically use that, and it's a violation, it's not a serious crime. And what happens is people have microphones who try to use them were basically brutally tackled by the police, beat up, and taken to jail on a consistent basis. And so that's how mic check came into existence, because we're not using any amplified sound, we're just using people's voices. Now they're making that illegal. Not illegal, I just didn't pass any laws about it. So a lot of what's going on here, and this goes into the NDAA situation. So that obviously the provisions of NDAA that you can be denied the right of habeas corpus, ability to appear in court, to face your accusers, to face your charges, to challenge your deprivation of freedom. The fact that they're creating mechanisms which allow the government to its sole determination without any kind of process to label somebody a terrorist and take away their fundamental rights is extremely problematic. And I think the situation in Europe is actually better than the United States, precisely because the United States has a gulag. The United States has built so many jail cells they can put a lot of people in jail. They've built, they have in the process, they built a lot of concentration camps, and so obviously in the United States, we're very, very concerned. We're very, very worried where it's going to go. And the only thing that can protect us right now is that we're so transparent and so many people are watching us. Cool. Now, at the same time, we really have to go to the cause of the problem. And the cause of the problem lies with our government in the United States right now. Just like we had a hypocritical leftist government in Spain that was actually beholden to the banks, we have a hypocritical leftist government in the United States that's beholden to God knows what. Obama campaign, the administration, has did a very interesting thing with the eviction of Zuccotti Park. There was something fascinating that happened. Right after the eviction of Zuccotti Park, Obama made a speech talking about domestic policy where he tried to appropriate the messaging and the ideas of the Occupy Wall Street movement, trying to make himself sort of aligned with the movement. But the reality is so different. In reality, they're passing laws which will allow detention of American citizens, and that was also done in a two-faced way. When the Congress was debating those laws, Obama's administration was publicly saying, oh no, we don't want to detain Americans, we're not going to let that pass, we're going to veto it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they were pushing to make these laws more strict, more restrictive, more crazy in some ways. And then once the law was passed, Obama signed it in the dead of night, when no one was watching. In a secret way to make it into law. So we're basically dealing with a fundamental problem in our society, especially manifesting itself with these restrictive laws, in that our leaders that have been elected to these representative systems are corrupt. And this corruption is extended from the inspector that raided our house on Monday all the way to the President of the United States. And the corruption I'm talking about is not about corruption on the level of someone slipping someone at 20. The corruption we're talking about is the corruption of not fulfilling the moral and ethical obligations of propagating good for the benefit of the people, but using the office and the power vested in these offices to propagate the desires of the few, of the elites. And this raises another fundamental issue that's happening in the Western democracy, all of Western democracies right now, in all of Western democracies right now, in that we have systems in place where the elites are controlling how the rules are made to such a degree that no matter what happens, we'll always have a situation where the elites are getting the advantage in all the rules which are passed and all the laws which are passed. So the rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer, and now they're basically propagating highly repressive dictatorial policies to suppress the population. So the only solution to that is to change the rules of the game. The only solution to that is to push things towards referendums. So the decision-making process about what's happening goes back to the people and away from those elites. We need to make everything much more fair, and time is running out.
We had an interesting talk today, and there was a chap there, and he was basically proposing that we withhold our taxes until, say, the governments stop funding wars, because it is our obligation as the citizens, in English law, he said, from his interpretation, that it is our obligation not to be complicit in genocide, in the wanton destruction of any ethnic groups, religious, and so on and so forth. And it was part of our legal defence in the court case as well. We said we have to be here because we're trying to prevent much greater crimes from happening. And we linked kind of the institutions within the local area with the act of genocide. There'll be third parties or have subsidiary companies, you know, which will then be based in other countries and propagating war, hiring militias, etc., so they can extract resources and the like. How do we continue to shine a light?
Mic check! What is your resolution? Shortly before midnight! On December 31st! 2011! Everything changed! The ball dropped! Balloons were released! And Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act with the new year. America and the world changed dramatically under NDAA. You and I can now be detained.
Much more stable because you're being locked. And it was locked.
Yeah, done. Okay.
Current. There you go.
Okay. As I was saying, could I send you the statement that got ratified, and would you be able to give us some feedback if you feel it's accurate, and if you feel it's important to go out, then we do kind of need your support in order for our press team to feel comfortable with it.
Yes.
They're concerned. Sorry.
I will forward it to our working group within Occupy Wall Street that's dealing with NDA. There's a working group related to it. Actually, more than one. So I'm going to forward them, and we'll see how, because we can. A lot of things can happen. Obviously, within us as people, whatever, we're obviously going to sign up to the things fighting it. Now, here's something I want to say that very important about all of these disobedience actions, to protest this stuff. They only work if they become huge with a lot of participation. So if you have what's known as tax resistance, what we were describing earlier was tax resistance, people saying like stop paying taxes.
Yeah.
It will not work if only 100 people do it.
Absolutely.
Because the government is just going to throw it in jail, and that'll be the end of it. But if everybody does it, it's going to work. The same thing with coming out in the streets. If only 100 people show up in the streets, they're just going to round everybody up, throw them in jail. If 1 million people show up in the streets like they did in Tahrir, there's nothing they can do. So to the degree that we can viralize what we're doing and get everybody to join us, to the degree that we can execute the unity part of our movement,
Yeah.
to the degree that we can bring everybody together, there's nothing they can do. They can put a few of us in jail, but they can't put everybody in jail. So if everybody says no to humanity, we need to reach out to the common threads of humanity connecting us, and we are doing a great job already. People just have to understand that just because things are quieter now or whatever, it's not means we disappear or whatever, it's a winter or whatever, it's very, very important to start organizing and bring as many people as possible. And what the governments have done by attacking all these squares is started to take away our ability to gather a lot of people in one place, so the whole world cannot see that so many people against it. This is what's really going on play here. So we need to find a way to counteract that. But to the degree that we can get everybody together around it, to the degree that we can create a global social consensus about certain things, there's nothing that these elites can do with their weapons, because in the end of the day, they can only take out a few people, they cannot take out everyone.
Yeah. So you go.
Go ahead.
No, but I was going to say this, in Spain, from our experience, from the beginning, we made a protocol of no violence, trying to avoid this violence that police was trying to do against us. So even we make commissions of every march had some people to control this march. It will not be dispersed, for example, for the police to be able to trap the people in small groups and so on. I think that as we have a strategy and analysis commission which study the circumstances that surround us and which kind of police every country have it, to be able to avoid the violence from the police, because we are spreading the message that this is a pacific movement, that everybody is welcome, and as much as we put the mass together, it will not be impossible that violence against this kind of mass. That's why if there are small conflicts, those small conflicts through violence makes people don't enjoy, because it's kind of violence. So I think that we have to work very well on avoid that violence and make protocols of everybody to be united, to avoid this lack of moral, attacking the government through the police, attacking to their own citizens.
Well, could we come up with some global aims? A lot of the things which I've been kind of looking at and studying for a long time before the movement were about the kind of the global mechanisms, as you say, to do with kind of the IMF, the use of war to expand markets, the corporations involved. Could we have an exchange of information so that?
Of course.
And also,
I will get you after this talk. I'm going to just get you the emails of people to contact with who are directly working in the on these types of working groups in New York.
Yeah.
Which on our end, in the media side, is we publicize the ideas that come out. We help explain them after these. So if you got, for example, you guys came up with a resolution within your working group on how to approach this. We will work on making a movie, to publicize it, to explain it, and so on, so on, so on. That's what media does. I mean, we
cool.
Yeah, no, and as well, this is creating commissions, committees, whatever you want to call it, from every country, and international commissions. Those international commissions have to collaborate together based in the local countries' work.
Yeah,
as well.
One thing, because I see one thing coming out from this, and I wanted to ask you, like, do you have the same thing at Occupy Wall Street? The fact that there was an actual press team dealing with external media, external press, and an internal media team, and how did it work out with you? Because basically what's happening here, we have our external press news, which is our PR, kind of PR agent, and although as a media we produce everything, anything that send our message, through the PR side, the message that we send out are really kind of selective, because obviously you always have to make sure that you don't make the wrong PR decision. How is it working with Occupy Wall Street? I was just curious to know about that.
Sure. Well, we made a decision very early on during occupation of Zuccotti that we're not going to try to tell people what to say or not say. Everyone is free to speak. The only thing we ask that people don't speak representing the whole movement. For if you notice in the very beginning of this interview, I specifically said, not this whole interview, but specifically when I started talking about policy things, I specifically said, this doesn't reflect, what I'm saying does not reflect the opinion of the movement. It's my own personal opinion. And I'm free to say what I want. And obviously the things where you speak for the whole movement, that has to go through the consensus process. That might take a while.
Yeah.
In general, you're touching upon a very interesting point. How do we create a media that is free to speak and be independent and therefore be trustworthy, have credibility? And how do you balance that against having movement media, which speaks for the movement? And this is the difference between the PR team and the media team. So when we set up the media center in Zuccotti Park, we didn't set up the media center as a media center that speaks for the movement. We set up a media center as basically a place of organization, so to speak, where different journalists come together and share resources, share information to tell the stories that need to be told, with no control over what they actually say.
With no censorship.
With no censorship.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the PR team will be putting out press releases which go through a different kind of process. Now, what we have happened in New York, which is very, very good, is that our PR team is actually a think tank of messaging, how to explain things. And when things happen, they send out an email to everybody telling them, this is what we come up with, you can talk about this stuff. And then when people are talking to the press, to the external press, to the corporate press, they pretty much have a lot of these ideas already kind of formulated that they can discuss. But we're deputizing pretty much everybody to speak to the press as themselves.
Yeah, I mean, which is a really good solution, because basically what happened here, because you know, the PR campaign is a really difficult campaign to fight. We had two people that are taking all the work onto themselves. They're doing an amazing job, but they got lots of work to do. So every now and then they also become the scapegoat for everyone else. They've been trying, but yes, again, there's a problem of responsibilizing people. So once you send out the message, then you need to get people to speaking with the media and explain it, which is something that doesn't always happen. I think that you just gave us a good idea to work on.
So can I just also add that they're doing... Nick, you just turn your volume down a little bit. We're getting feedback.
You getting my feedback? Hold on.
Correct. Yeah. They are doing a really good job. And my concern is that they've kind of got the most effective outreach that we have at this moment in time. That's why everyone's kind of looking to the press team at the moment, because they've done such a good job that everyone's kind of going, yeah, but we need to get this out now, we need to get this out, look at these new developments, come on. And I mean, what we are finding is that we're having to produce our own content and everything like that, but we don't necessarily get the coverage that it warrants.
Okay, so basically my answer to that is, just like with decentralizing Global Revolution station, TV station, just like with decentralizing our broadcast media, so to speak, we should be decentralizing all our media. All of our speaking should be decentralized. And people should just be empowered with ideas generated by people who are thinking about ideas. We just need to create basically mechanisms to take ideas that are being generated and spread throughout the movement so people know how to frame things and think about it. And that creates an open debate, an two-way conversation. People in the movement, people who are working on the stuff, that working group that's making these messages is an open working group. Anyone can be part of it. I contribute. I throw ideas in there sometimes. I want to give you an example of how it worked really, really well when Zuccotti was raided. When Zuccotti was raided, I got stuck in the studio. I was in the studio when the raid started, and I had to edit all the feeds coming in. And as I'm editing all the feeds, I couldn't go to the park. Nobody came to relieve me. I wanted to go to the park, but I couldn't. But in the middle of all this, I sent a message to the group and say, how do we frame this thing? And within half an hour, I guess they were having the debate, I got a response back. You can't evict an idea whose time has come. And I think a lot of people got that message, and that became the main mantra, the main meme, that's what it is, meme, of the raid of Zuccotti. So, in a sense, what we're doing is we're creating memes. In almost everything we do, in almost every part of the moves, we're creating memes. We're creating ideas which are propagating into society, which are uniting people, which are solidifying our ideas, our philosophy, and so on. And so there are many different components to it. There's a process of how to come up with a meme, and then there's a process of how to get it out. And both of those need to be decentralized. The name of the game is decentralization. It's not just we have no leaders because it's cool not to have leaders. We have no leaders because the power of our collective consciousness, our collective efforts, is so much more powerful than any one of us individually.
But then would you say that the, what's it called, the general